Hello and welcome to Midco Motorsports. I'm your host, Brian Shawn. This past weekend, the All-Star Circuit of Champions Sprint Car Tour made a stop at the Jackson Motorplex. It's a unique opportunity for this region, with this being the furthest west the group races all season long, with most stops in Ohio and Pennsylvania. That's this week's A-Feature. Former NASCAR driver and ASOC Tour owner Tony Stewart making an appearance at the track. He was racing for position in the B main with Harwood, North Dakota's Trevor Mell. The two get together in turn 3 as Mell jumps the cushion and spins out. He would finish 12th and would not advance. Stewart would go on to take the checkered flag, and Mell would show his displeasure for the 2019 NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee. 18 cars on the grid of the 305 feature, but problems on the opening turn as the 05 of Colin Smith touches wheels with the 56 of Bill Johnson. Smith bouncing into Johnny Sullivan, and he goes tumbling, ending his night. The man on the move was the 51 of Elliot Amdahl, who started 8th. He would take the lead with 2 laps remaining from Ryan Vaz en route to his division-best 3rd victory of the season.
Obviously, getting 3 in a row helps a ton. Any win helps, but we got a couple of big races coming up. Obviously, in about a month, we got the Jackson Nationals with the 360, and just other weekly shows, Oskaloosa, Knoxville. So we got a lot of big shows to hit, and hopefully we can keep it rolling.
In the 10,000 to win All-Star Circuit of Champions A-Main, Brian Brown led the first dozen laps, building a sizable lead. But in traffic, he would spin out and would move to the back of the pack, ending up 17th. Josh Boffman would battle it out with Australian James McFadden, who maneuvered from 5th to 2nd by the midway point. Finally, with 5 laps remaining, McFadden, filling in for the injured Casey Kane, would make the pass for his 2nd straight All-Star win and the 4th of his career. The All-Stars invaded Knoxville the next night, and a couple of big spills, including this wreck as South Dakota's Justin Henderson made contact with Rico Abreu in heat race number 1. Henderson would be okay. At the start of the 25-lap A-Main, another T-native, Matt Jewell, gets together with Winnipeg's Thomas Kennedy, both cars flipping. Fortunately, all drivers would be okay. The story of the night was Fresno, California's Gio Scelzi. He makes the pass of pole sitter Kerry Madsen on lap 10 and goes on to become the youngest driver to win a feature event at Knoxville Raceway at just 17 years and 8 months old. His father, Gary Scelzi, is a former NHRA funny car champion. The All-Stars raced in both Knoxville and Burlington, Iowa this past weekend as well, with most cars hanging around to take part in the Knoxville Nationals. 2 days of full action also on the big stage out at Dacotah Speedway in Mandan for the Governor's Cup. We'll recap that action coming up next.
Midco Motorsports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dacotah Speedway.
Welcome back. It's rare for the Northern Outlaw Sprint Association to head west with nearly all of its shows in the Red River Valley, but the series invaded Dacotah Speedway in Mandan for a 2-day event that also featured 5 other classes as well. It's known as the Governor's Cup. The 21 of Andrew Jochum grabbed the early lead from pole sitter Brody Karlsrud in the INX Legends feature. Jochum and Karlsrud continued to battle as they started to catch slower lap traffic. That allowed 3rd place Ty Wilkie to reel in the leaders. He was able to move into 2nd place but could not find a way past Jochum, who rolled to the victory by less than a second. Wilkie was 2nd and Karlsrud had to settle for 3rd. In the IMCA Modifieds main event, Casey Arneson quickly distanced himself from Sean Strand to get to the top. Later in the race, Strand, while working around slower cars, made contact with 3rd place Hank Berry, with both spinning out. On the restart, Arneson pulled away once more, with brother Austin slipping by Miles Tomlinson for 2nd, but Casey Arneson led all 25 laps to take home the feature victory. The NOSA and CAOSS sprint cars ended night 1 of the North Dakota Governor's Cup after Mark Dobmeier pulled away early. Nick Amdahl moved from 6th to 3rd, passing pole sitter Jordan Adams. Dobmeier would cruise, building a lead of over 4 seconds, but a caution with 7 laps to go regrouped the field as Kevin Lawson and Nick Ranton spun out racing for position, ending their night. Wade Nygaard gave Dobmeier a run for the money as he dove low in turns 1 and 2, but Dynamite would retake the lead on the very next turn as the 2 cars almost get together down the front stretch. Dobmeier would pull away to pick up the victory, with Nygaard settling for 2nd and Jade Hastings finishing 3rd. On night 2, a competitive field of Legends cars back on the track. The 60 of Drew Popke looking for his 5th win of the season in Mandan, and he would have to work his way up from 4th behind the leader, Andrew Jokum. But there was no getting around the 21 from Glendon as he goes back-to-back in consecutive nights, winning the Governor's Cup Championship. A strong field of hobby stock saw a good battle early as the 1 car of John Gartner Jr. takes over the lead from Wishick's Brent Vetter. He looked to be on his way to victory, but the 21 of Chandler Warner would catch fire, bringing out the caution flag, and Gardner would stop to talk with a track official about his race receiver not functioning. That would send him to the back of the pack, counting as a pit stop with just 3 laps to go, and the 55S of Dylan Sandberg inherits the top spot, and he would cruise on to the 2019 Governor's Cup title. Fargo's Austin Arneson won the legendary 50 at Dacotah Speedway earlier in the month, but he would have his work cut out for him in the IMCA Modifieds feature, tracking down Tom Barry in the 11X. But when lap traffic became an issue, Arneson able to maneuver through it and take over the lead, and he would go on to win it from there, his 6th victory of 2019. Finally, the NOSA Sprints closed out the event with 23 cars on the starting grid. Mark Dobmeier hoped to make it 2 in a row as he went wheel to wheel with Wade Nygaard. Late in the race, 6 laps to go, he's able to make the pass on a slide job in turns 3 and 4, but with just 2 to go, Bob Martin and Mike Nelson get tangled up, bringing out the caution flag. It would be a green-white checkered on a single-file restart to finish the race. Dobmeier getting a little loose in the first turn, allowing the 9N to shoot past on the backstretch, and Nygaard would go on for his first victory in nearly a month, repeating as Governor's Cup champion.
On the single files are really hard. All I needed was him to slip up a little bit, and he kind of got out over the cushion in 3 and 4, and then again in 1 and 2. So that kind of gave me a good run coming off the corner to get back by him. That's why we came out here, in hopes of winning it again. So it was a fun race.
NOSA will be back in action on Friday at River City Speedway and on Saturday in Devil's Lake. Stay with us. Next, we are joined by the all-time wins leader in the history of the Tour as he gears up for 10 days of racing in the sprint car capital of the world. Mark Dobmeier joins us after this. Welcome back. The next few weeks will be a busy one for one of the veteran drivers in the region, starting at home on Friday night, then heading down to Knoxville for 6 nights of racing in 7 evenings, then 2 World of Outlaw races back in North Dakota the following weekend. We are pleased to welcome in Mark Dobmeier. Mark, I am sure you were spending a lot of time in the shop getting everything ready to go, both professionally racing the car and also in your shop back in Grand Forks as well, trying to take care of some things. How would you describe prepping for the next couple of weeks?
It's been very busy, to say the least. We've come off of a busy weekend of racing. We're out in Bismarck at the Governor's Cup on Friday and Saturday, and walked away at the first and the second. And Saturday night, we knew what was coming our way this week here. So we drove through the night, got home at 4 in the morning, and started our preparation Sunday at about 11 o'clock. We started washing and servicing cars and getting things ready for the Knoxville Nationals. And with our crew being working guys, we're working at our shops during the day, and then at night we go out to my house and work on everything at night. So we're out there last night till about 10 o'clock, and we will be pretty much every night this week, except for Wednesday night, where I got to take my boy to the go-kart track.
Got to make priorities for those things. That's really cool. We know how much he loves being around the race cars as well. We spoke a couple weeks ago, and you had mentioned that there just been some inconsistent stretches for your team this season. You've been trying to kind of dial the car in. How have you been able to work through that, and what have you done to try to get back on track here in the second half of the season?
We've done a little bit of everything. It's funny in racing. You can go through stretches where you can just click off wins left and right. It seems like no matter what you do, you got speed, and then you got stretches where you're just struggling and banging your head on the side of the trailer. And we've been kind of all over the board this year. We've had a couple crashes earlier, and we've been fast, and then we've been struggling, and been all over the board. But the biggest thing is having a hard-working crew behind you, and everyone goes to bat and works on everything, and you try different stuff setup-wise and driving style-wise and everything. And we've seemed to start getting some of our consistency back and getting them top front finishes. So, which is good timing because of this busy week and a lot of money up for grabs here next couple of weeks. So we're hopefully ready to go for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know this is your second go-around as a season as a team owner in addition to being a driver. And I remember talking last year that you just had to get used to a new chassis, new engines, new everything. Has that part of it gotten easier for you here in year 2?
It's gotten a little bit easier. I thought it was getting really easy, and then we struggled for a while. So we've been working on things and getting it figured out again. But it's definitely a challenge, but it's a challenge that I like and I enjoy. And the biggest thing comes right down to your team and having a hardworking crew and sponsors and everybody along with you to help you through everything.
And I know, Knoxville is on the horizon. You've qualified for 4 Nationals finales. You have 2 top 10s there. There's a lot of things that have to go well when you're racing that many nights in a row. What is the most important thing as you try to prep and get ready for this busy week ahead?
Just being prepared is the biggest thing. And when you get there, no matter what, you got to have a little luck on your side. We're going to hit Sunday. We'll race the Capitani Classic, so we'll get a few laps on Knoxville. Monday, we plan on going to Oskaloosa for the Front Row Challenge, so we'll get a few more laps on a track that's similar to Knoxville. But no matter how much prepping and everything you do, going into your qualifying night, you just need to have a little luck on your side, and you need to have everything in order. Starts off with a pill draw walking in the gate. Your pill draw can determine whether you qualify at the beginning of the field or the end of the field. The track can be subject to change a long ways throughout that qualifying time. It might slow down a lot. So after that, it's that heat race that if you qualify well, you start in the back of, and you have to work your way out of that heat to get qualified for the feature. And you would just have to be on point every single time you hit the track your qualifying night. If you have a good qualifying night, that sets you up. It makes your whole week a lot easier because you can lock yourself right into the A off your qualifying night. So if things don't go well, then you're looking at Friday and doing it all over again and doing everything you can to get a win that night to lock yourself into the A again Friday night. So it's a very chaotic week. It's a very busy week. It comes down to preparation and then having a little luck on your side that opening night.
Yeah, it's really different with Knoxville. When you invert the heat races as much as they do back to 8 cars, that can make it really, really challenging. That also creates the opportunity, do I go for it all the time, recognizing that I have to keep this car together for 4 nights. Is that probably part of the challenge too, is knowing when you just got to go for it, when you maybe need to back off a little bit?
On qualifying night, there's no backing off whatsoever. I mean, your whole weekend's based down to that qualifying night. And that's where I think actually the best racing you'll see during Knoxville is on the qualifying nights in the heat race, because they're going to take the quick time, start him 8th, and he has to make it to that. I think it's top 4 or possibly 5 cars. I think it's 4 though, just to get locked into the A to keep his high points and keep his high points rolling. So you'll see guys that'll take chances that normally won't, and they're just it's all on the table right there. So it's some of the best racing you'll see.
Yeah, best racing you'll see, and you'll see guys from the West Coast, East Coast, and from the Midwest come together, and that's always different because the driving styles are a little bit different out there as well.
Yeah,
we wish you the best of luck,
throw a few Australians in there as well.
Yeah, the Australians make things interesting too. There's no question about that. We appreciate the time, Mark. Good luck down there, and we'll see you next week, okay?
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Mark Dobmeier joining us here. Stay with us after the break. We'll head up to Grand Forks to recap the action from River City Speedway as the NLRA late models hit the track. Midco Motorsports rolls on after this. Welcome back. With the NOSA Sprint Cars out west, the NLRA late models were on center stage at River City Speedway last Friday night. Winnipeg's Shane Eddington leading the current standings with veterans Dustin Strand and Brad Sang on his heels. Other classes also in action at the bull ring as well. A scary moment on the opening lap of the WISSOTA Midwest Mods feature as the 2S of Matt Scow bumps Lance Schill and goes tumbling in turn 4. Scow was able to walk away. Meanwhile, Schill was trying to move up on leader Cole Haugland in the 10C, trailing by 7 car lengths when a caution flag waves with 2 to go. On the restart, the 17S takes advantage, sliding in front to grab the lead. He would hold off Haugland and the 6R of Nate Reynolds for his 3rd victory at RCS this season.
We just kept reeling them in. We could get to them there at the very end, and then a caution come out with 1 or 2 to go, and I'm like, oh, thank God, we got a shot. Here's a restart, so let's give it a shot. And I figured, if he's going to go high, we're going to try and slide him. If he's going to go low, we're going to go top shelf. And I just waited till the last second, and I just gave her.
The NLSA Lightning Sprints made a rare appearance at the bull ring, with the 93 of Kelsey Peterson starting on the front row after her brother Tucker won earlier in the night. Murray Temple would find a groove on the low side of the speedway to grab the advantage early. Alex Truzinski would put the pressure on, but was never able to complete a lap in the top spot, and Temple, the Hartney, Manitoba native, wins his first race of the season. The NLRA late models wrap things up with veteran Brad Seng looking for his second straight win at River City Speedway. He would take the lead immediately after starting on the front row. The 4-car of Shane Eddington would give Seng all he could handle, especially in lapped traffic, working the bottom of the track. But it would not be enough as Seng holds off all comers for the win, Eddington and Strand finishing second and third respectively.
You know what, I saw his nose the one time, but I think at that we were kind of in lap traffic, so I was kind of waiting for things to shake out. And you know what, thank God the car had another gear and we took off again, but I heard he was still there.
At Nobles County Speedway in Worthington, Minnesota, Darren Kornthals of Rock Rapids, Iowa started on the front row of the USRA Stock Car A main, and he continues to roll in the month of July, picking up 3 wins in the last 2 weeks. He is now tied for first in points at Nobles County in the division. The USRA Hobby Stocks were on the track next, and a good battle up front as the 3K of Dan Strandberg was looking for his first win of the season. He would hold off Corey Gronewald in the 59 to take home the checkered flag. The final race of the night featured the A-Mons with the 14A of Andrew Allers leading the first handful of laps, but Sioux Falls' Duke Anderson in the 57 would work underneath to make the pass. He protected the bottom and went on to win his first race of the season that has given him a 9-point lead in the standings.
I've been really close quite a few different times, but it's just trying to get the hurdle, trying to get your first one is always the toughest. Seems like once you get the first one, it comes a little bit easier after that. So hopefully the momentum will keep on going and I can click off a few more of these things.
Well, out in western South Dakota, the annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally will get underway this weekend. And when we come back, we'll take a look at one of the more unique racing events you'll find anywhere.
Midco Motorsports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dacotah Speedway.
Welcome back. There is never a shortage of things to do during the annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, but there's one particular event that's been gaining some serious steam. It's called the Spirit of Sturgis Vintage Motorcycle Festival, and it features some of the most classic bikes you will ever see. Midco SN's Jay Elsen has more in this week's Inside Track, brought to you by Dacotah Speedway.
What we do is so historical. So it's period correct. People normally see these machines in museums. So for us to be able to show them what the people of the day would have saw when they were the actual new super bike racing of the era, it brings so much joy.
Brittany Olson is the founder of 20th Century Racing and the co-founder of the Spirit of Sturgis. She's also an accomplished flat track racer. So for her, antique motorcycles are a way of life.
The gentlemen and women who are racing these motorcycles, they're extremely passionate about the sport, extremely passionate about the motorcycles themselves. So for us, it's just really igniting that passion and igniting that enthusiasm and showing the world that we can still race these old machines, we can still fix them, we can break them, we can crash them, and we can still have a lot of fun on them as well.
The motorcycles are a huge attraction, but the backbone of this particular event is the racetrack. The Sturgis Half Mile has history dating back to 1938, and it's a place that holds a very special spot in Olson's heart.
There's something so spiritual just racing out there too on any motorcycle. You pull up to the line and you feel all of the other people who have started at that line before. You feel the energy there, and it's unlike really any other racetrack I've been to.
That history was recently threatened. In 2015, the city had plans to develop the site into a residential area. Olson felt compelled to do whatever she could to prevent that.
Some of the greatest motorcycle racers in the world have raced on that track. And so to let go of that history, to let go of that, it's so hard, especially when your mission statement is to preserve American motorcycle racing history.
It took some time, but Olson and her business partner, Bruce Eide, were able to sell the folks at City Hall on the idea of an event honoring the history of the half mile. After feeling things out for the first couple of years, Olson says things really took off in 2018. With more than 60 racers competing in front of a crowd of over 2,500.
To see that and to see people, filling the stands to witness these old motorcycles race and buying posters and buying our t-shirts, it's a rewarding feeling because it's showing us that we're doing something right.
The only thing that success doesn't buy is a guarantee. Development plans are on hold indefinitely, but that could change at any time. So for now, Olsen and her team are enjoying the ride and relishing the opportunity to capture the true Spirit of Sturgis.
The main thing is just working very diligently and very close with the city and making sure that we can continue to race out there. And if the day comes where it just is no more, then we will try to find another outlet. But for right now, it looks very promising. The city is very excited to have us, and we're really excited to be working with the city as well.
Great story there from Jay. This year's Spirit of Sturgis is set for next Monday, August 6th, with the main events slated for 4 p.m. Tickets are $20, although there is a discount for military personnel. Kids 12 and under get in free with a paid adult. That'll do it for this week's show. Enjoy the races, everyone, and we hope to see you back here next Wednesday night for another episode of Midco Motorsports.